I am looking forward to reading more John Lamont scripts. John, have you considered writing a book? Because I think you're a success story, aren't you? I mean, I got your trade paperback, which was very sweet. Danny, did you do the lettering?
Yeah.
Like whenever Jezidro's speaking and it goes into this funky double cursive stuff, I have a hard time understanding what she's saying.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
John
That was my
decided on
decision.
that
Not that was entirely my decision, not Danny's.
Okay. Fair enough.
Danny is not. Danny is not a fan of that.
Okay. All right.
But John really liked it, and it's definitely flavorful.
Okay.
And John was paying the bucks, so John gets what he
Fair
wants.
enough. Okay. All right. So, John, did you get Palace issue 4? By the way,
I wanted a visual distinction between when they're speaking English and when they're speaking and when they're not.
Yeah, and as it turns out, African is not a great style to look for fonts. So that was one of the better ones we found. There was a way.
It was. Yes, we went through many fonts.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks of like genuinely picking fonts for that character.
By the way, John, did you get Palace issue 4?
Did I get it? No.
Because I sent you. Didn't you get like 15 copies of Whiskey Paint's triptych cover mailed to you in a box? I bet.
You haven't updated my address.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody got it then. All right, Jesus. Anyway.
Oops.
Yeah. Is that still somebody you know that lives there? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Lamont. Because it got delivered on 8/19, which is a couple weeks ago. So yeah, a couple weeks ago, you got 15 copies of Palace 4 featuring that triptych cover by Whiskey Paint. I encourage you to pick it up and sell it to people. And
right. In respect to that, I will eventually need to know when we have like Palace up in Diamond, so I can tell shops in Canada to order them.
I promise I will let you know.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do,
and I'm quite excited to get copies of that because I haven't had any of the floppies. So
look, I'm ready to go big.
Waiting on trades right now.
I intend to go big. I place a big order to support distribution for Palace as a trade. You know, if I order, a few thousand copies, then I'm going to get that print cost way down for Palace as a trade. And then I can sell it to you, Danny, and I can sell it to John because he can sell it at his table. I'm pretty sure some people who are interested in Dungeons and Dragons and Bondage might want to buy Palace, if not the D&D adventure for 5e. And,
I know people who want the D&D adventure too. Like I'm going to pick up those and obviously the trades because we've already discussed that. And I think the trades over from direct from the printer.
Right. And that's what I like. I feel like for like
floppies was annoying math, if you recall correctly.
Yeah.
Trades, easy peasy.
Yeah.
And also better margins for everyone. Let's be honest.
So that's where I want to just place a big print order for those 3 products, like Palace, the 5e module, Palace, the trade paperback, and Palace, the collection of comic book covers, the erotic art of Palace. I figure those are 3 books that, people might want to buy.
I think once you place that order, that's also an okay Kickstarter campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Do a bundle.
Yeah, and that's what I intend to release in Diamond, are those 3 books. And
how many pages is your art book going to be?
I don't know. I mean, how many? Probably 26 to 30. However many covers I did for Palace, Naughty, Nice, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might buy a few of those off of you, depending.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Because I've been selling art books for my Angel of Darkness covers.
Yeah.
And they sell pretty well. Like they do pretty good all by themselves. And I am actually thinking about I'm doing a limited art book run for Spirit of the Dragon, and then just comboing the two into one and just making a, I'm thinking I'm going to do an art book for Spirit of the Dragon just for the Kickstarter. Okay. And then after I fulfill the Kickstarter, then just taking my art, the better art of both series, and putting them together in a book, and then just kind of have this increasingly growing book of naughty and nice art.
Yes. And those represent 3 distinct products. Each is fairly desirable. Like, D&D fans are going to want to buy the D&D adventure. Fans of like waifu boobs are going to want to buy the erotic cover books. Fans of story, which is basically like all of those people, are going to want to buy the trade. Those are 3 products people would want to buy that I don't mind supporting by buying a whole bunch and, like distributing them to you, John, or you, Danny, or
I'm listed as the editor for this. Like, I want a bunch of that. John just sent over a whole bunch of Angel.
Yeah.
Yep. I dropped them off at the FedEx place today.
And Cygnus Imperium, issue 4 funded, by the way. Yay. Yeah.
Hopefully the email was worth it.
It wasn't, but it was close.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't think my update did very well for you either. Because
so the campaign didn't do as well as issue 2 and issue 3.
Yeah,
but those were also I've been regularly releasing that in the winter.
Yeah,
right. So it's a different time of year. We all know what the market is for robots right now, which is not great. And then the last week of the campaign, I was on movie sets. I was barely doing any promotion, which was a big thing. I was getting paid quite a lot to be on those movie sets, thankfully. But I worked on a short film for 4 days 2 weeks ago. And we were in rehearsals on Monday. Day 1 of shooting was Tuesday. On Tuesday at lunch, I interviewed for another short film that was Sunday through Tuesday of the next week. And then the campaign ended on Thursday. So I was able to get 1 post out a day because I had someone else assisting me with graphic design. But I was there on set for 16 hours. I didn't have time to really promote, which is too bad because Whiskey Paint's cover art is gorgeous.
Yeah.
The book is extra big. And the story is really good, and the interior art is gangbusters. But it's a robot project, and no one buys robots. What I'm really happy about. Sorry?
I sold 3 at Tampa Bay Comic-Con out of my comic that's basically giant mechs that I bought from another Kickstarter guy that I've been following. He's my other
Comic-Cons, I feel like they're easier for it. Kickstarter, this project hasn't been super great for me. But I have a complete story unit now. It's going to go to a nice trade, and the art's really quite good. So I'm still happy I've done it. And I'm really looking forward to Demon Schoolgirls, and I'm going to follow the John Lamont strategy.
There you go.
And also, ideally, get one of you guys to run the campaign so I can get sweet American dollars.
Yeah.
Because that part is real irritating for me as a Canadian. You have no idea.
Yeah. No.
Well, I'm basically leaving 40% on the table, to start.
Yeah.
Right?
I told you should increase your prices.
Harder to do that for an issue 4. Really easy to do that for a new project.
Yes.
So there's that, but then I think there's a degree to which just having round numbers for American consumers helps that whole process. This has been my very limited experience of having some international Kickstarter campaigns. Is let the American run it. You get 40% more money, and the American buyers don't get confused because Americans.
I do think it'll help with your shipping. To be perfectly honest. Because if your American friend who's running it is also doing your American fulfillment, and that also helps too if it's shipping and not going overseas.
My shipping broker, they just drive stuff across the border and then ship it local, so it's about the same price. I'd suspect. It's
okay.
$6 to $7 Canadian for me to send domestic mail in the States. It's like $5 US, so it's probably cheaper for me. Right? Like you charge about $5, so that's like whatever it is for media mail.
I undercharge for shipping on my campaign because I do not like the fact, and the only reason why I'm charging I used to offer free shipping US, and I had to stop doing that because freaking administration started raising prices, and postal prices have practically doubled in the last 3 years since I started doing Kickstarters.
Yeah.
So it has gotten insane, and I charge $2 to $5, depending on how many books you get, to my US backers to help offset that. But really, like, I would much rather not be charging shipping. I like the idea of free shipping, but and I feel like a lot of people gouge Kickstarters. You know, like you back a $15 tier for a book and a PDF, and then you have to pay $8, $9 for shipping.
Like people charge shipping on PDFs?
No, if I back a Kickstarter, that's $15 for a book and a PDF.
Oh yes.
I end up paying $8 to $9 for shipping. So I'm paying $22 for what's essentially a $5 book.
Hey, look, this is a big problem for me for buying American Kickstarters, because it ends up being like a $15 book, $15 more to ship it, and then they're probably going to ship it UPS. So if they file their paperwork wrong, I'm paying $60 at the border. Like, no, you're going to get $5 out of me now, no matter how much I want the book, because I don't have to deal with that. Like, I'm not paying $60 to get a $15 book across the border.
Yeah.
That's insane. But that's how UPS does. So like, yeah, I'm so done with that. Like, I have better things to spend my money on. Like literally anything else. Anyways, I guess we should read this story.
Yeah,
I guess so.
It's in now. All right.
Yeah.
Interior, California Federal Penitentiary processing day. A prison guard escorts Marcus Jacoby down the hallway to the inmate processing, stopping at yellow line while a second guard processor sits behind a desk protected by thick glass. The processor looks up from the paperwork.
Inmate 24485-716. Step forward.
Marcus steps towards the glass.
Your effects.
From a box sitting on the desk next to the processor, he produces each item one by one.
One generic leather wallet.
He places it in the pass-through tray.
Cash totaling $20.85.
He produces a small Ziploc bag containing the money in the pass-through tray.
One student ID.
He places the Los Angeles Unified School District, ID, featuring the photo of a 12-year-old Marcus Jacoby in the tray.
Your iPhone will not be returned per the terms of your parole.
The processor tears off the bottom section of the paper, drops it in the pass-through tray before pushing it through. The processor points to Marcus's left.
There's the door. I don't ever want to see your face again. You hear me, kid?
Without saying a word, Marcus gathers his items from the pass-through tray, leaving the receipt behind, and heads for the door. Exterior, California Federal Penitentiary Yard day. As Marcus steps outside to the sun, we see, for some reason that's bold, his face for the first time. A scrawny 17-year-old, buzz-cut hair, clean-shaved. Marcus squints as his eyes adjust to the light. Exterior highway outside the prison fence. Day. A long beep signifies the lock release. Marcus pushes on the gate, exiting. Across the empty highway, Marcus's father, Richard Jacoby, leans against his pickup truck smoking. As Marcus crosses the highway, he takes the last drag off his cigarette before tossing it on the street.
Littering in front of a prison.
Get in the damn truck.
Richard walks around to the driver's side as Marcus gets in the passenger seat. Interior, Richard's truck day. Richard drives the long, empty highway.
New truck.
Well, your mother got the car in the house.
Oh,
Yeah, apparently the feds decided you're going to be living with me instead of waiting 6 months and dumping you on your ass. They said it will better acclimate you.
I'm sorry for the imposition.
Richard smacks Marcus in the back of the head.
Imposition? How about being sorry for stealing $2 million from FarmEd? How about being sorry for turning the lives of your family upside down indefinitely?
It was an accident.
You don't hack a multi-billion-dollar corporation accidentally.
Marcus starts to interject, but cuts himself off. Instead, he stares out the window in silence. Exterior, downtown Los Angeles day. Richard pulls the truck into a downtown parking garage.
Shouldn't I change first?
Oh, now you're worried about what other people think of you? I took today off work to pick up your sorry ass and taxi you around. So get out.
Interior, Poe Brinkley's office day. Richard and Marcus enter the officer, finding the overworked middle-aged Alice behind the desk. They enter the officer?
Yes, they
No,
do.
God, it's a John Lamont comic already.
As that John Lamont script. Good afternoon. How can I help you?
Richard shoves Marcus towards her desk.
Go on, kid. Tell the nice lady why we're here.
I'd like to see Albert Brinkley. I should have an appointment.
Alice types on her computer. Marcus' muscles tighten as the clack-clack of the keyboard. Okay. She picks up her phone.
Mr. Jacoby is here to see you.
She hangs up.
You may go in. Mr. Jacoby, you can wait right here.
Richard sits down in the waiting room, taking out his cell phone. Marcus enters the office, the door closing behind him. Interior, Kimura Imports, warehouse day. April, age 9, wearing a cute jumper, bald from months of chemotherapy, stands on several stacked shipping pallets, holding a fanned-out deck of cards.
Pick a card, any card.
About 9 warehouse workers, including Marcus, who wears jeans. Oh, was that a different Marcus then? Okay. Tank top and a noticeable ankle monitor stand around enjoying the show. One of the workers steps forward, taking a card from April.
Show it to everybody and make sure you remember what it is.
Harry, 50s, Greg, from too many hours spent in the warehouse, walks up behind Marcus.
Marcus, can I see you in my office?
Sure thing, boss.
Interior, Kimura Imports, Harry's office day. Harry takes a seat at his desk.
Come on in. Close the door.
From the perch of Harry's office, Marcus can see the entire warehouse floor, the men on their lunch break watching April's magic show, the work piling up for when lunch is over. Marcus closes the door, taking his seat on the couch opposite Harry's desk.
Don't worry, I won't keep you long.
Harry hands Marcus a folder with a few papers inside.
Your quarterly performance review. Thought I'd let you look it over before I send it to your PO. And the guys were very happy with your work ethic.
Thank you, sir.
If everything looks good, you can sign the bottom and get back to the show.
Marcus leans forward, grabbing a pen off the desk to sign the evaluation form.
April seems like she's having a good day. Have you heard back from St. Vincent's?
She's moving up the wait list, all in God's time.
Suddenly, the intercom on Harry's desk chirps.
Harry, get down here.
Without a second thought, Harry is out the door, racing down the steps to the warehouse floor. Marcus stands looking out the window down at the floor. April's unconscious body lays across the stacked pallets as the others stand around. Harry shoves them aside. Marcus steps towards the door, stops. He looks back. Harry's computer. Marcus closes the door, then closes the window blinds. Marcus rolls himself up to Harry's computer. Angle monitor. Angle monitor. Marcus pulls up his search history, then St. Vincent's Children's Hospital. The keystroke. He opens a command window. The sounds of keys typing, blah, blah, blah. Return. Marcus glances at the door, then the clock on the wall. Angle monitor. Typing continues. Angle clock. Tick, tick, tick. Angle monitor. Blah, blah, blah. The terminal window closes. Interior, Kimura Airport Imports Warehouse Day. Marcus exits the office, heading down the stairs back to the warehouse floor. He does. He notices one of the supervisors speaking with two men wearing black suits. The three turn to Marcus as he steps onto the warehouse floor.
Marcus, these gentlemen were asking for you.
That's not what you wrote.
How's April?
Don't know. Harry's taking her to UCLA Medical.
The supervisor heads off to his duties as Marcus approaches the two men, John Arthur, 50s, salt and pepper hair, longtime company man, and Javier Guerrero, tall, muscular, obviously former military by his stance. Arthur smiles, extending his hand.
John Arthur, FBI Cybercrimes.
Marcus freezes at first, extends his hand, anticipating cuffs being slapped on.
Have you had lunch yet? We did come at lunchtime, right?
I should check with my supervisor.
We just did.
Marcus sits in the back of the SUV as Javier drives, and Arthur scans his phone.
In the mood for anything in particular?
I'm fine.
Javier, you're the local. What's good here they don't have in D.C.?
I know a... Oh, wait. Sure.
I know a good, authentic Mexican place.
Perfect. I love it.
What's this about?
Food first, then business.
Suddenly, Arthur's phone buzzes, making a loud warning sound.
Shit. Gotta hit Artesia Station.
I know it, about 15 minutes out.
Hit it. Marcus, buckle up.
Javier hits the lights and sirens on the blacked-out SUV, cutting out of traffic and racing for the intersection. Interior, Artesia subway station day. Commuters pile in and out of the subway. Most stare at their phones, oblivious to their surroundings. ATM machines line the wall, leaning toward the concrete steps leading up to the wall. The man enters his card, but the screen flickers before showing a stream of codes, which turns to static seconds before money starts flying out into the crowds.
My lucky day!
Suddenly, all the ATMs start spitting out money. Crowds gather around, grabbing up as much cash as they can. Exterior, Artesia subway station day. The wailing black SUV pulls up to the curb. Arthur, Javier leap out. Marcus exits, following a bit more cautiously. Interior, Artesia subway station day. An MTA officer gets in the section attempting to grab what we can. Javier reaches the bottom of the steps. Grabbing his phone, he runs an APP, whatever that is, which causes which causes the screen to flash red and blue and play a loud, ear-piercing police siren. Disperse, get out of here before
I'll be
you all arrested. Preston can do the next one.
Yeah.
The crowds grab what they can before heading back toward another exit away from Javier. Some get on the train before it leaves the station. Javier grabs the MTA officer by the collar, shoving him against the wall.
Stealing from an ATM is a federal crime.
The MTA officers stammers. Arthur walks up to them, producing an evidence bag.
Agent Guerrero. Now I can't pronounce it.
You're the one who wrote it.
I know. I was just looking at random names. I'm sure the good officer was simply doing his duty by collecting the funds for the eventual Secret Service investigation.
Arthur holds out the open evidence bag. The MTA officer pulls the cash from his pocket, placing it inside.
So, care to show us your security room, or do we need permission from your supervisor?
That's not what you wrote.
Well, that's what I meant to write, so...
No, sir.
Arthur looks back at Marcus, standing at the bottom of the steps.
Marcus, you made it. Come on, your input might be useful.
Interior, Metro Security Room day. Sitting at his desk, the MTA officer plays back the surveillance cameras, which show the ATM machines. Javier, Arthur, and Marcus stand behind him. Angle monitor. Javier spots the man approaching to withdraw cash.
There, zoom in.
The train arrives. The crowds exit, everyone on their phone.
Hold up, they're all on phones. Signal interference? No, this is definitely deliberate.
It's the kids on the beach.
That's definitely not what you wrote, Preston. You gotta put your glasses on.
It's the kid on the whatever. It's the kid on the beach.
Bench.
Bench.
Bench. You're right.
There's very few beaches at a train station.
You're right. It's the kid
Even
on the
in
bench.
LA.
All right.
The playback freezes. Marcus taps the screen.
They didn't move when the train arrived. They were there before, and they stayed.
Play forward, slow.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You're Marcus. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Play it forward slowly.
Okay. As the feed starts playing again, the kid on the bench, wearing a baggy hooded jacket obscuring their figure and face, gets up and joins the crowd gathering up the cash. As Javier arrives with flashing phone, the kid on the bench exits, blending with the crowd, and gets on the train. Return. Javier pulls out his phone to write up the report. Arthur and Marcus step back to give him and the MTA officer space.
The hacker goes by the alias Loki, and whatever they touch, chaos and mischief follow, true to the name.
And you thought I might be this Loki?
It had crossed my mind more than once.
The end.
Bam. All right. You know what? That was a John Lamont script that I feel is an improvement over the typical formula.
I agree.
Yeah.
I liked how your spelling and grammar improved drastically. I saw that look. And also how it wasn't about sex or strippers yet.
Yeah. No, this is my PG-13 story.
Aside from when they all entered the police officer, that was a bit awkward, I'm sure. A logistical challenge, definitely. And
maybe it'll be like that episode of The Boys.
Why not?
So yeah, and there seems to be a story going on.
Yes. I mean, look, it was solid. I feel like Marcus is an interesting character. I mean, is it me or did he go from prisoner to kind of like forensic expert fairly quickly? But I guess
save that for the constructives.
Yeah. Well, look, it was a good introduction and I enjoyed it. I like Marcus. He seems like a good main character. He's got a cool story. Law enforcement people are acting like law enforcement people. This feels like a realistic setting. Bureaucrats and the legal system are acting like bureaucrats in the legal system. It's got a lived-in quality to it that your previous scripts kind of lacked. There we go.
As a constructive criticism, I would highly recommend at some point explaining what Marcus actually wants to do early on in the story, so that the conflict is clear, because he was very passive as a protagonist. I mean, he did some stuff, but we have no idea why. And then he's like a thief, okay, whatever. And then he did some computer hacking for some reason, and then just gets dragged along by the police after being pushed out of jail and driven around by someone else. So there's not a lot of agency there. Also, yeah, the time jump was fine. Annie makes up for a lot of that. But some aspects of the story did seem to escalate rather quickly, which I'm sure Preston will expand upon as he gives his.
I mean, I don't got a ton of concern. I mean, outside of the, I feel like the bureaucrats are allowing Marcus, particularly in that scene, and correct me if I missed something, but Marcus, where he's starting to like fit into the bureaucracy and issue instructions about like analyzing the forensics, that feels like too big a move. Or maybe I missed, but if I didn't miss anything, then that seems too big a move.
Okay, so you're talking about in the train station.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, as a reference, have you seen the movie Hackers?
Yes.
I mean, you've basically given us the beginning of that without the character saying what he wants or using the, oh, I'm not allowed to touch a computer thing as a plot point.
So this is Catch Me If You Can meets Hackers.
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
So good.
What does our guy want? Does he want his $2 billion back? Does he want to go scam other people? Is he accidentally hacking the Gibson like some weird prodigy? Like, what's his thing? We have no idea. No one talks to him, really.
Okay.
So what does he want? He's our protagonist. Why is he the person talking the least and wanting the least? Does he want to like make money to pay for Annie's chemotherapy and like marry her? Like, give us something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wow. Okay. Are you just spitballing, or did that scene not work with him
Annie
hacking the
was
hospital?
fine. Just like I don't know what Marcus wants.
So the inciting incident doesn't really happen until around page 19.
That's pretty far after you've already had FBI pick him up and take him to a crime scene in progress.
Right. What is revealed over the next couple pages is basically he's recruiting him for a job.
Yeah, but he's acting like, as Preston said, he's acting like they've already recruited him.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, why are the fucking feds taking me out for lunch? Or, oh, you got my application for that, intrusion prevention gig and like white hat hacking? Nothing. They just go to this warehouse and pick up some random loser, ex-con, and like put him to work. That's not how reality works.
Yeah.
And I know this is fiction, but I mean, give us some dialogue to justify it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. As I said, like this was kind of something unique and not something that's, as I said, putting off I wanted to know whether or not the characters were interesting enough to keep your interest until the inciting incident happens. Because he is being recruited for a specific job, and there's reasons for that, but you don't find out about that until after. Again, I don't want to say, oh, everything gets explained later, but the whole point is everything gets explained later, but like after page 20. So the question is this interesting enough to keep your interest, or does something need to explode quickly before you guys get bored?
That's really explode. Shit needs to get explained.
Okay.
Like, you don't need an explosion. You need to tell the audience who the protagonist is by having them want something that they can't get. And saying that out loud to some degree, even if it's not what they need, is the thing they want. He just got out of prison. What's he been wanting to do the whole time? We have no idea. He spent all of his days in prison wishing to be working in a warehouse with a girl who does magic tricks, who's dying of cancer. He's been waiting his entire time in prison for his boss to step away from the computer for 5 minutes because the girl who does magic tricks nearly died. What's he been waiting in prison to do? Like, one of the things about stories that start like this is usually the character like has something they want to do, right? They've been waiting for because they've been unable to do it because they've been trapped in a physical location. So like, you'll look at like American Gods. Dude just wants to meet his wife and go home, right?
Yeah.
And he can't. He ends up like taking a flight with Loki and like doing buddy cop cosmic shenanigans with fucking Odin, right? Like, it's always I got out of prison, now let me go do this thing, whether it's criminal or not.
What story is that?
American Gods. It's pretty good if you have. I mean, it gets increasingly like as we get away.
I don't know if the
season
show's any
one.
good, but like the book's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounded
I mean, the
familiar,
show
but I
was
don't think I've
pretty
ever
good. Like,
seen
the
it.
first season was pretty good. The second season was pretty weird, but like not bad weird, just very different weird. I think it was a different like director or something.
Yeah.
But like the beginning is he gets out of prison and he wants to do stuff, and then everything just gets in his way. That's the story. Like, oh brother, where art thou? Right? It's an Odyssey story. We just got out of prison and we want to go do this. Let's just go home. And everything gets in their way, and it like mimics Homer. I'm sure many other ones. I don't watch a lot of stories about recently escaped convicts, but I probably actually do. Like every recently escaped guy in a cop show comes out of prison and has something they want to do, whether it's revenge or gambling or seeing their wife or kid or whatever. So,
Okay.
like, what does Marcus want to do? You showed us something that he kind of wants to do, but you didn't tell us. He doesn't talk to anybody about it, so the audience doesn't know. So then, as he gets swept along in this strange adventure with FBI officers and suddenly being a fucking consultant, you're naturally going to have the kind of confusion that Preston had. Like, I don't think you need an explosion. I think you need a character.
Okay. Alrighty.
Sorry, I really dominated that one, Preston.
That's all right.
You always do.
You had more to say.
I don't always, and there's a reason why I tend to go last.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
there we go.
Yeah.
This is a fine start to a something.
Yes, it's a fine start to a something.
I mean, maybe this is secretly a sequel to Palace of the Golden Princess. And he wants to do something, then gets like taken in a portal to a fantasy world and has to live by his wits there. And there's no Gibson to hack when you're in a fantasy world. What does he do?
Yeah.
Can he live without his iPhone long enough to save the princess?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not. If I was going to do that, I
Can
would
his
do it
iPhone battery last long enough to save the princess? That's a better story. So you got to point us in a direction where your story is going to go. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any more scripts?
Yeah, we do. Hold on, let me.
Didn't we have a new version of La Vigilante?
Yeah, we have a new version of La Vigilante.
Oh, that's fun. We haven't suffered through that one in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not since the last time we met. You've been away,
well,
Danny.
I mean, that is literally what we're here for.
Yes.
I mean, it's like last week it was just me and Preston, and we're like, we can't do this without Danny.
Yeah, I know. Like,
because Larry and nobody else frickin' shows up.
Yeah.
Bunch of losers. I say that with love, Larry.
We do miss Larry.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. We are the core three here. Let's see. Share screen. It's not that other people couldn't get involved, but here we are. La Vigilante.
I mean, at least Xander has an excuse for living on the other half of the globe.
All right, here's what he said. Added context to initial fight. Pocket Jacks requested to change dialogue, hopefully a bit less cringe. Lol 3. Skip the dream sequence. I believe it's done. Deleted the apartment scene and transitioned directly into the newsroom. Okay, well, this is script he handed in, so we start at page 4. I guess I'll narrate.
I'll narrate.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah. Exterior, red neon district night. Wearing a black catsuit, Katrina rides her electric cycle through red neon district and drives into an alley. Exterior, red neon district, alleyway, night.
This is it. Gypsy, tactical, preset 1.
The rear carriage of the electric cycle transforms into a drone.
Gypsy.
Yes. Drone online security scam initiated.
The drone flies off.
Ready for my headliner.
360 audio live.
When Katrina communicates with Gypsy, you can see an overhead display appear with unique symbols.
No, I can't.
Exterior Gringold Sports Bar night, which apparently has no description. I guess it's an empty sports bar.
There you go.
Aren't all sports bars the same?
I guess.
Yeah. We need Maniaco. Okay, man. 1 and 2. We need and God, like I told him about this. You can't just give me a slug line and not a description line.
Well, he can, and he keeps doing it, possibly just to spite you, because we are in this for the torture.
I told him
We're
not
going
to do that. And he's like, here.
There's no description. There's no location of where these two guys are standing on the location. They just materialize. No, voices materialize in front of a sports bar.
Well, yeah, because if they didn't, the fight scene would be less badala. We might actually enjoy reading any of this.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay. So, do you want to
We need another one of the boss is going to cut us.
Don't worry, I spotted one. Here she comes.
Katrina walks toward screams and laughter.
Of course,
there's a gang of maniacos loitering and harassing customers exiting the bar. Maniaco 1 grabs a woman by the arm.
Let go of me.
And apparently the character description is in the dialogue.
Yes.
And Maniaco 1's character description is much later than after he started speaking.
I mean, I just thought there was still a gag and my heart sank because I know that this scene is not going to get any better. Let's go. Let go of me.
Come on, baby.
Hey, she's done for tonight, okay?
I mean, why not? But we got something special going on. I feel it. There we go. That was the line.
Katrina listens as she closes in.
Bingo.
She masks up.
Yeah, why don't you join us? We're not going anywhere with you. God, there's so many characters.
Yeah.
Maniaco 2 walks up to woman 2. Who's woman 2?
Fuck, you only got 2 women and you're introducing a third one who's actually secretly a fourth one? Please don't. Use the you have. What are we doing here?
And Maniaco 2 walks up to woman 2 and he flashes his pistol.
You're missing the point here.
Hee.
OMG, we'll do whatever you want, just don't hurt us.
The Maniacos grab them.
You're coming with us.
Hey.
Everyone.
Hey.
Hey.
Dead or alive. You're coming with me.
Everyone I literally did that, John. I'm just not.
Everyone turns in Katrina's direction.
They've had enough. Let him go.
You gonna do something about it?
Yo, I think that's her.
Maniaco 2 drops Cece and rushes Katrina.
But they have a perfectly good woman to kidnap. Why do they need to Whatever. I'm done. The fix this. The logic is insane. Stop it. Let's have some fun.
Katrina reacts quickly and front kicks him in the abdomen. Maniaco pulls back.
Ugh.
Bitch got some kick to you.
Maniaco 1 releases Mari, and she runs with Cecil. He walks toward Katrina and looks at Maniaco 2, who is grabbing for his pistol.
Don't. You'll alert the security drones.
They're getting away.
Fuck them, dog. I want this one for some reason.
Maniaco 1
faces
Maniaco 1 faces Katrina and closes in. Katrina takes her capoeira stance.
That'll work against a gun.
Yeah. Fancy moves.
Okay, so wait. You're right. He's got a gun, but they say don't use it because of security drones. So why the frick does he have a gun? Like, if these magical security drones know the second a gun is pulled and can zero in on it, then why are they even carrying guns?
Well, they also just let go of two perfectly good humans
Great
failing
victims.
in their mission for their boss in order to get beaten up by someone else. So they're not really very smart, but also this isn't very well written.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, right. So, fancy moves. We've been expecting it. Oh, okay. So apparently they've been
I'm starting
expecting her.
to get noticed. Oh yeah, am I late? I love that. Just VO straight into a line. Let's fucking go.
No, you're just in. He
I'm
swings at her.
Maniaco 1. No, you're just in.
He swings at her. Katrina dodges as he continues to swing. She counters with a rising head kick and knocks him out cold.
Oh shit!
1, 2,
Battle
3,
line.
4 moves in that choreography. That is a lot.
Yes.
Hiya.
Ugh.
Maniaco 2 screams into his smartwatch.
Oh shit!
Get out here. The more, the sexier. Oh, God, the dialogue is not improved. You've caused us a lot of trouble. Stop hurting these women and there won't be any. You know, there's S13 you just clocked. Do I look like I care?
Do we look like we know what that means? A few
guess we do.
Maniacos rush in from every direction. Katrina poses nonchalantly. Hey,
Right.
you know, if you're gonna go into the bad dialogue, at least he's committed, yo.
I mean, I don't have
I
a
am
problem
all
with that.
here.
I have a problem with the 2 pages of meaningless bullshit before the possibly interesting fight scene.
Well, I'm all here for the cheesy dialogue. I love it.
I am here for the 18 plus activity.
There we go.
I don't think Preston's worried about monetization.
No.
Yes, but I've got a roommate who's doing phone calls for work right now.
There we go.
That's the bitch. Get her.
Katrina throws a few sticky tasers as they rush her. A couple of Maniacos are stunned and drop to the floor. Then there. She then slams open her batons and goes to work on the others, cracking the hardened metal against their bodies.
Let's get the juices flowing.
And apparently the batons speak. Smack, crack, split, bust. 1, 2, 3. Maniacos drop, breaking their bodies, sending them to the ground, writhing. Well, I mean, at least it's not a wall of text that you can't follow.
Yeah.
Not yet. It's broken. Fuck. Get her.
Her face spotted with blood. She attacks with quick flurries, intentionally disabling their digits and appendages.
So that's a 10-move fight scene in one line.
It's better than him trying to
You're
choreograph.
You're not wrong.
Good on that. Good on that, man. I much rather read that than you trying to choreograph a fight scene.
I mean, I think the more choreography is later. In this, it's been 4 pages now. Jesus Christ. You've got.
Where's the line, Danny? You're supposed to say this scene is still happening.
Yes. Yes, this scene is still happening.
Katrina uses the environment. Her fighting tactics are brazen and unpredictable. She windmill kicks 2 Maniacos as he does something by creating a page PDF format. Okay. Smacking a couple of others with her batons.
She's dancing all over us.
Wait, she's
Baton,
dancing.
speak again. Click, clack, smack. She somersaults and is soon riding on the Maniaco's face, smacking a couple others with her batons.
Ooh, care for a snack?
Oomph, ugh, oh.
Hope you're not diabetic, because this thing is sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love the cheesy dialogue. She flips off and slams him down with a wrestling maneuver.
Grippy AF. Get up, you fools. Grab her.
Maniacos are scattered on the floor unconscious. A giant hand grabs Katrina by the hair while she recovers.
I mean, I'm shocked the security drones haven't noticed any of this yet.
Yeah.
It's been 5 pages of fight scene now,
Yeah.
with literally a gag scattered on the floor. And by floor, of course, you mean ground, because this is exterior.
Yes.
Just outside
parking lot.
on the street, just assaulting some bitches.
Like you do.
Apparently, like she does.
Yeah.
Okay, if I recall correctly, Preston has to be Lebestier. I'm going to be talking to myself all day.
Come here, bitch. There we go.
La Bestia throws her into a car. Katrina Katrina recovers her balance.
She's
like that line read? That was a pretty good line read.
Yeah.
Look, I spoke with the producers and we all agreed, don't touch my hair. What is she talking about?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. It's page 4 and nothing she says. Sorry, it's page 8 and nothing she says makes any goddamn sense. We're on Lebestia at the top of page 9, Preston.
That's just not going to work for me.
La Bestia takes a low boxing stance. She blocks and whacks his arms as he jabs. Okay.
I mean, why not?
I mean, he did say that she was transgender, so I guess she just transitioned in the middle of the paragraph.
Why not?
I'm confused. A loud clink. A loud clink can be heard. She reels backward, trying to survive
from the deadly jabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who's doing what in that paragraph.
That's because pronouns, when they replace nouns, but you haven't actually explained the noun that they're replacing earlier in the sentence, add confusion instead of reducing it.
Yeah.
And if La Bestia is trans, what is his, her, they's pronouns? Because that would also help too.
Because look.
I mean, when you have two different gendered characters, you can get away with the pronouns if they're two different pronouns in a paragraph, even though it is a little confusing. But that's way too confusing because, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this bastard's stuffed with augmented graphite mods, she says to nobody, directly to the audience.
Yeah.
Because it's a VO. Ugh.
Put your toys away. Daddy's going in bear.
So I'm just wondering, what's graphite have to, like, graphite's in pencils. What's that? Okay. He swings his giant fist. She blocks with her batons and slides back into a car. He continues to swing, and as she dodges, he breaks the car apart. The maniacos cheer him on.
13 moves in that line. Yeah, fuck her up. Show us her insides.
Nice.
A dust cloud forms. La Bestia takes a step back and stands still.
That'll keep you out of our business.
Katrina's figure can be seen kneeling in the cloud.
Hiya.
She jumps out, grabs his head, and knees him, knocking him backwards. Blood gushes out of his forehead.
Wow.
If you mess with innocent women, it becomes my business. Oh my God. She has a line explaining her character, and it's before page 10.
You crazy whore.
La Bestia cracks his neck, blood running down his face as he grins wildly.
Preston, you need to give that line.
End it. Don't let her get away. Take her down.
Who the fuck is this chick?
Police drone activity spotted ETA 3 minutes.
Gotta end this quick, she says to nobody. Gone soft. Sploosh.
Gone soft. Okay. Jeez.
Katrina spits at La Bestia.
Arg.
Katrina holsters her batons. La Bestia rushes forward, and she flips over him, sending him flying into the car that apparently was broken in half.
Yes.
Katrina.
Also, why is she holstering her batons in the middle of a fight?
Katrina equips her whip with a red neon tip that creates a stream of light in the air. She cracks it across Labestia's back. I thought Acolyte already did the stupid light whip thing. Anyway.
I mean, we've been rereading this scene for like months now.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he first wrote the scene before the Acolyte.
Yeah.
So, Katrina continues to crack away at Labestia, turns and blocks with his giant forearms. She swings the whip above her head, creating a sonic boom.
Hiya! Boom!
The strike sends Labestia backward into the already destroyed car as he lays there, arms stretched out.
No more, please.
Get her.
The injured maniacos are hesitant and frozen in place. She cracks the whip as she walks toward them. Pedestrians flee the bar.
Can we just start the scene here?
Yeah, I guess we could, yes.
Can we just like cut from like the two girls run away and then she pulls out the whip and then, oh my god.
I mean, apparently if the whip is like the end all be all, why didn't she just start with that? Kind of like the giant sword in what was that movie? Pacific Rim. When, he pulled the giant sword up to Deus Machina, the end of the movie, and they're like, why didn't he have that thing the whole time?
They did have that thing the whole time. They used it like in the fight scene in the city to get the guy while he was flying.
Nice.
Anyways, trigger shy, are we?
She swings her whip over her head and snaps it in all directions, hitting each of the maniacos that remain standing. Streaks of red rush through the air. Police sirens go off in the distance.
Who are you? No, who are you?
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
She lands a final strike on Maniaco 2 as he holds his pistol.
Why is Maniaco 2, the unnamed Good, suddenly more important than the person with the name from earlier, who just gives up in the middle of a fight for no fucking reason?
Katrina wraps
None
her
of this
whip
makes any sense.
Across her waist and flees the scene as security drones swoop in, flashing their lights. Threat alert.
Any violators will be prosecuted.
Katrina slips into a nearby alleyway.
Gypsy and Op clip and shoot it to Coach. This should be enough to make the news cycle and the city a bit safer. Yes, we do need a safer news cycle in this city.
Yes.
That's what the city needs, is a safer news cycle.
An exterior red neon district alleyway continuous. Katrina runs into the alley. Rose petals begin to fall from the sky.
Huh?
She sticks her hand out. There's a figure in the distance. Is it what's her face from American Beauty?
Maybe it's just it's a Christ figure.
Oh, does Christ bring rose petals?
I mean, it's a figure. It wasn't very specific. Maybe it's Darth fucking Vader.
Ah ha ha ha.
What? Not now. Why?
As she gets closer to the end, she trips on some garbage and slides across the floor.
Brr, honey, let's get you ready.
Well, that was 10 pages. That had been 10 pages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we started on, because we started on page 4. Right? No, 4 to 16.
Well, no, this says 9 to 10.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because we started on page 4, remember?
Were pages cut? I guess pages were cut.
Well, yeah, you skipped the first 3 pages.
Yeah, we started on page 4. We're now on 9 and
9, 10, 11. Okay, 9, 10, 11, 15. Cool. All right, on to the news studio, I guess.
Interior news studio morning. Katrina is now seated at the news desk. Her co-host Lupe next to her.
And we're live.
The camera zooms in on Katrina.
I'm Katrina Milflores. Welcome to my world.
And dream sequence. I didn't know we were in a dream sequence. Zoom out. Zoom out.
We are now, bitch. Bam, dream sequence. It ended. What dream sequence? The one we were in, apparently.
It's like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Can the first scene be a dream sequence? Because it's insane and utterly illogical.
Lupe has the line after we zoom out.
Katrina, Cat, you okay? We got 3 minutes. How's my tie?
Hey, good, you're good. I really need to get it together. Last night was such a blur. I should have skipped the limeritas. Da 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 da.
Exactly.
Interior Neocom Tower 1 News Studio Dawn. They are now live. News cycle. Exposition begins. Because we absolutely love exposition by newscasters.
I mean, exposition begins is, dude, if that's how you're doing it, just cut all of it.
Fuck yeah. Let's do this.
They are,
all right. They are now live. News cycle.
I read that. We're up to Lupe.
Yeah. The search continues for Nadia Mendoza, the daughter of former Union Chief Eric Mendoza. This case has social media activity in a frenzy, and the activists mobilized. More on that later.
In other news, authorities are still searching for the woman in black who appears in multiple leaked videos attacking a group of assailants. Wait, is it like
it's our top news story, but more on that later.
I mean, hold on. Now I'm trying to figure out the grammar here. Is she in multiple videos attacking the same gang?
I mean, why would she be?
No, like she hunts down the same gang every night to attack and just follows them around like herpes.
There you go.
Because that would be very funny.
Yeah.
Snapshot of the confrontation on the upper right-hand corner of panel.
So,
you're Lupe.
Yeah, Lupe. That's right, Katrina. She's wanted in connection to the last week's shooting in Red Neon District. 9 gang members were detained. 2 wanted members known as La Bestia and S13 were captured.
You mean Maniaco number 2?
Yeah, I guess.
Fuck.
He's never
isn't there a real world gang called S13?
I think it's like S13. That's what he's going. I get the analogy bit he's going for. I don't have a problem with that.
But I would not reference an actual gang in your fictional story. That just seems, that's like calling your biker gang Hell's Angels. Like, just don't do it. Come up with something original.
Yeah, call it something original, like Warriors.
Face shot of both Maniacos on screen.
Netizens, that's a word that humans still use, are calling her La Vigilante.
Hell yeah.
And witnesses reported she rescued victims. She did not rescue anyone. We just read that scene. That's a fucking lie. She ain't rescued shit. They literally let the assault victims go to fight her for no reason. Probably she's been chasing them around all fucking week and they're tired of her bullshit.
There you go.
Lupe, you have a line.
Thank you, Katrina. Coming up, we have updates on the rolling power outages and an interview with the parents of Nadia Mendoza.
Which apparently is the top story, even though it's not even mentioned.
There you go.
Ticker at the bottom reads AI industry software update all across all devices.
I guess we can cut out here instead of introducing a new scene for 3 lines.
And it's definitely not continuous if you're cutting to a dressing room.
Yeah.
And while I'm thinking of it, okay, so that newscaster by exposition thing, I know the kidnapping thing is part of the main story plot, which is why you're dropping it here, because of all of the other reads of this script. So rather than talking about it being your top news story and then cutting away from it, start with since you want to do the La Vigilante exposition dump, even though we saw that just happen just literally, so I don't know why we need to talk about it again. But if you don't want to go into detail about that and you're just dropping it, do that at the end, right before you cut away from that scene. That way he can say, this is our top news story, so-and-so was kidnapped, this is who this person is, and then cut away from it, and that'll be better than saying this is your big top story and then in other news and going into something completely different. That makes no sense chronologically. So sorry, I just wanted to get that out while I was thinking of it, because that really just jumped out at me. Good things. So I like the fight scene was much better written. I think cutting out the massive walls of text was incredibly difficult to follow. As a film or TV script, not a comic, the way you have the fight scenes written are very good. You leave lots of room for your fight choreographer and your director to basically figure that all out. Once the art director sets up the location, a lot of times they'll all kind of figure out, your set decorator and your choreographer, they're all going to figure out how exactly the fight scene is going to look and be filmed. So you gave them plenty of room to kind of figure that all out. So that's good, but you still had a couple nice pieces like blowing the car up in two. That'll add for some interesting set pieces to add to the fight scene. So as I said, as a screenplay, the fight scenes were much better and easier to follow. And oh yeah, I love the cheesy sex-driven dialogue. I thought it was freaking hilarious. And it was, the only thing I could say is if you can make it cheesier and dumber, that would be even better. But honestly, it's got, it's so cheesy, it's got crabs.
As far as I recall, the fight scene is much less badly written. I agree. I don't see very much else having changed aside from maybe the news scene, but I mean, I don't really remember that very well. So the actual content of the fight scene doesn't seem to have changed very much.
Is that a good thing? Because we're doing positives.
Well, there's a lot to recommend as an editing practice to only change one thing at a time if you are getting feedback, so you see what's working.
Yeah. All right. Look, it was a fine scene. I guess it was a cliched scene. All right. The scene hasn't changed too much in terms of like she's still facing off against the Maniacos. She is still a hero acting of a motivation that seems superheroically virtuous. She's a superhero of virtue acting against faceless evil minions and feeding them. Hooray.
Eating?
That's how I felt last time. I don't know that it's changed too much, but she beat Maniacos 1 and 2, and
then she beat Maniacos 3 through 25.
I guess, yeah, and then she beat
and then Maniaco 2 shows up again for some reason.
Those Maniacos are the bomb. Good job, I guess.
No wonder he keeps them around. They just come back up, like boop, boop, boop,
yeah,
boop, knock them down and they come back up.
But I don't, like we haven't really seen why the Maniacos seek to, like she says, I'm here for innocent women, so great. Whatever. All right. It was hooray for action. Those are my positive comments. Go ahead, John.
You know what? Yeah, you think, you gave me a thought and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But like Batman Returns, when Catwoman shows up,
yes,
and saves that woman in the alley. Like, it's a very cliched scene, but it still kind of works. Innocent lady wandering down the street, gets grabbed, pulled into an alley. She's about to get robbed, probably raped. Catwoman shows up, kicks his ass, and then, has a few snarky lines about, why you calling for a man or something like that. It's got the whole feminist thing going for it,
sure.
but it kind of works in that way. And I feel like this has none of that.
Well, is that because it's 10 minutes long? It has jokes about how her badge tastes?
Possibly.
Probably.
Possibly.
But I kind of feel like, like it goes back to the point. I guess the point that I was trying to make is that we don't really understand or recognize the danger that these women are in. Um, and that's where it kind of feels like, I think it kind of feels out of place, because I mean, and how many women go to a bar and they get, hit on by an ugly guy that they just would rather leave them alone? I mean, it's not exactly. I mean, yeah, okay, grab her, so that does cross the line, but I kind of feel like it's the um, all men are evil trope, which is a little too common. Like, it doesn't. I don't really, for the level of vigilantism that she lays on them. I don't feel like that it warrants. The punishment doesn't meet the crime, because we don't know what the crime is. She shows up out of nowhere, um, and says a few things, and I kind of feel like, oh, what was that warehouse scene that you wrote? Like, remember a million years ago, you wrote this scene where she shows up in a warehouse and she like saves a bunch of people from a container. Like, what happened to that scene? Like, what about her actually going in and like stopping, like a human trafficking ring? Like, you've got this crazy scene with all of these crazy fights in it. Let's bring the stakes up. Why isn't she? And then we actually have actual victims that we can actually sympathize with. So, if you want her to show up out of the blue, which clearly this is page 2, because I think the Limerita scene was from the pages 1 through 3, where you said she was having like a party or something like that, if I recall. So she's at this party, gets drunk, and then goes out to kick ass or whatever. But honestly, I think you should look at maybe doing and you're probably like, oh, I'm saving the warehouse scene for later. But honestly, this scene doesn't work. But if you do something like the warehouse scene, do like human traffickers, something like that. You can make your human traffickers even like a side business of your main boss. So that way she's pissing off the primary antagonist at the same time that she's also taking care of this low level. Maybe she doesn't even know it's related to the big boss. Like, she's just got this hot tip on a human trafficking smuggling ring going on. So she's going to go in and basically break it up and save a bunch of women and kids from it or whatever, because then you actually have a real save the cat moment, which is kind of what I think you need here to juxtapose her, basically going Punisher on their asses. But we don't actually see the other side of it, because those two women are gone and we forget that they even exist, instead of it being saving them being the point. So if she's just showing up at a warehouse, busting heads, and kind of progressively working her way from the front yard to the trailer box, or maybe they're all layered. Maybe they're all loaded into a truck, and the truck is like leaving the back of the warehouse and she's coming in the front of the warehouse. So now we've got a ticking time clock where she basically has to get across the yard, fight all of these goons, and stop the truck from leaving because it's got like 20 people on it or something. I mean, and hell, I mean, you're writing a Hispanic story, so you can put in border. Maybe they're crossing the border illegally or something like that, and they're all going to be like shipped off somewhere to some midwestern state somewhere to work in sweatshops. Who the hell knows? But she's got to get across the warehouse grounds and fight her way. And then instead of your fight scene all being with no stakes in one location, you can do it here, and then you can do it here, and then you can do it here. You can establish different locations as she's working her way down the line. Um, very Commando-esque, obviously, but you know what? You're cracking jokes halfway through it, so nobody's going to be taking it too seriously. Um, And then finally she gets to the end, and maybe then you have your fight scene with LaBestia, and maybe during that fight she can disable the semi or something like that to buy herself more time. I don't know. It just, I feel like, as Preston likes to say about my work, it's very low stakes because we don't have anything that's
Yes.
at risk. And I think
Yes.
if you can up your stakes, a lot of the other stuff will fix itself
Yes.
in a way if the stakes are there. So I
Yes.
think give us some real stakes for this scene, and even if they're mostly all a bunch of red shirts, I'm not going to criticize that too harshly because I do that all the time, especially because you're trying to establish power levels in this superhero world. So obviously she's more powerful than them, but LaBestia shows up and is supposedly more powerful than her. So I kind of see where you're doing with that. I mean, unless you want to save LaBestia for a future, then if she does defeat they, she needs to do it either more just barely, um, and then I think you have a character that's at least, um, we know that she's powerful, but she's not the most powerful if she's hitting up a character that has a power level higher than hers.
Can we just pause for a second, Preston?
Yes.
Appreciate that John fucking Lamont just said that your invincible superhero character needs to be in more danger.
Yeah. Yes.
I just want to draw attention to that as a positive note.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see you, John, and we're glad you're getting there eventually.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, I have a more powerful character that I'm introducing. Thank you very much. And she gets her ass handed to her, so
Yeah, and you are on the right track to even making your powerful characters appear vulnerable. So I agree with you that the fight scene is very low stakes. I absolutely disagree with you in terms of solution. There is no good solution to this fight scene that doesn't involve cutting it and making it less complicated.
All
because
right.
its big problem, and your problem in your action scenes generally, is that you make them terribly complicated. Now, I don't know if you're intending to do this as a comic or as a film, but as a film, looking at what you write, the direction, that is a shit ton of money you probably don't have. And if you're doing it as a comic, that's a shit ton of pages you still probably can't afford. And also, in which nothing interesting happens. Don't do that. Give us like a 2-page scene of her actually saving like anyone instead of just driving up, parking her car, walking in front of a bar and beating up people in line. And then maybe actually, have the people she saves say like thank you. Maybe not have the maniacos, fucking just let them go. Because actually what happens in the scene is she says, hey, let them go. They let them go. And then she assaults people. No one's getting saved.
True.
So I don't know what you're trying to get across, aside from that our character is an unhinged maniac. So yeah, and if she's not supposed to be the maniaco here, you done fucked up, boy. So make it shorter, make it punchy, reduce all complexity. Have there be 2 gang members. One guy tried to kidnap a girl, and then after she saves the girl, his gang buddy, LaBestia, shows up, and they have a bit of a fight, and she successfully wins. She's more powerful than 2 people. That you have established that she is a strong fighter. Because fighting 2 people at any length of time on the street is probably exhausting and not the sort of thing a sane person would want to do in the first place. Someone walking into a 20-on-1 fight is an idiot.
Yeah, but this is superhero logic. I can handle I can handle 20-on-1 if you're doing superhero logic. Just make sure that you establish, as long as you're consistent.
Okay, or maybe we actually do something interesting And if the Maniaco's business is kidnapping people, maybe half the gang goes to get back the people they were trying to kidnap, and she only has 2 or 3 people left to fight. So she's fighting more than 2 or 3 people, like at this stage. It's nuts. No one's walking to a fight against 20 people on the ground, even in superhero logic, and think that's a good idea. Batman doesn't do that if he has a choice. This person has a choice. Like, make there be less of it and make any of it matter at all is my recommendation. Like, have fewer moves and have all the moves matter.
Or make it more unique. That's one thing that I at least
don't tell people to make stuff unique. Make it totally bland and also successful. So let's start with successful and then work on unique.
No, I don't mean that. What I mean is if every fight scene is written and ends the same way, then they don't really need to exist. So that's what I mean. Like every fight, if she's going to fight a group here and she's going to fight a group here and she's going to fight a group here, make something unique about that.
Yeah, like, they're fighting around a taco truck or whatever, right?
Or
like,
if she knocks out one of them one way, then have her knock somebody out a different way in the next panel. Because if she's constantly doing the exact same thing multiple times, then it gets a little...
Only the first time needs to be there. I 100% agree. There needs to be less of this. I'm going to keep saying that.
That's why that's the problem that you have with too many characters. You have too many characters and they're not doing anything interesting or unique. So they just kind of like all fall apart.
Yeah, like are they just standing there? They have a gun, but no one uses the gun. Have you heard of Chekhov's gun? If you have a gun, use the gun. And then suddenly she has all these chips and tools. Then she's like putting some of the tools away in the middle of a fight. Then affixing stuff to her whip in the middle of a fight against 20 guys. There's 20 guys. How does she have time for any of that? Like, have a big punchy superhero Hulk fight or have a big punchy Black Widow fight. Like, pick a lane, have there be less of it, and have her actually save anyone. Do it in 2 to 3 pages and get on with your life. Like, you're introducing that she is a vigilante, not that she's the best vigilante or like that she can go kick all the butts and we're going to have, and then suddenly she's fighting space aliens. This is like page 8. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to establish bitch is a vigilante. This should not take more than 2 pages.
Yes.
Save the cat.
Yeah, have her show up and save a cat.
Yes, there we go.
I mean, hell, even the Incredibles did it in the first.
Worth a 10-page scene like that. It's just not. It's a boring scene where nothing happens of consequence. And then it goes to a dream where nothing happens of consequence because it's a dream. Then it goes to another dream inside the studio where nothing happens of consequence. And then it goes to a makeup room where they talk about nothing of consequence. This is your book. So if you make the stuff matter, like she actually saves someone who thanks her, or she nearly gets killed and runs away, that's a consequence. We're on board for that. But if we're just watching action figures fight, like you're losing your audience.
Anyway, there we go. I think we gave some good feedback, and I gotta say, I know I feel like La Vigilante that you turned in this time is better than the one you turned in 6 weeks ago. So I feel like you're getting better.
I totally agree.
So just like they say in group, keep coming back and keep presenting. And look how far John Lamont has come. Don't you want to be like him and bringing in 17 grand on Kickstarter? I sure do. So
I mean, hell, Danny complains about my story, but clearly my backers don't care.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm
wait to not be selling robots.
Robots are tough, man.
Robots are so tough.
Yeah.
Guys,
See,
don't
what
sell
you need-
robots.
You
Yeah.
need a naked chick in a mech suit, and then you could sell books.
Well,
Exactly.
Preston did that, and it still didn't work. And
They
you
weren't
did not sell
naked.
your book based on naked chicken in mech suit.
My book was naked chick in a mech suit.
Okay, how much of that was in any of the covers?
That
You
was
saw
the
naked
issue
chicken
for.
in mech suit, did you?
It's the premise of the book, though.
People are clearly not reading that; they're just reading the covers, just looking at the cleavage. I've learned so many lessons, and those lessons are my Demon Schoolgirl project is greenlit as fuck.
Anyway, I guess we don't have a ton else, right?
No,
I mean, those are the only two
was
scripts
gonna
we
have
had
time to
in.
write, and I ended up being on set for an extra week. So,
Well, awesome. Well, those were the two scripts we had for the evening, and I look forward to reviewing whatever scripts come in the next week or two. So there you go. Yeah.
Well, I wrote up to 19, 20 pages of my hacker script, so I'll probably bring the next 10 the next time, and then I'll be back to work on Harpies because I'm still trying to figure out some plot issues in issue 2. Much like Le Vigilante, is I have a scene where I have a dozen witches showing up, but I have nothing for them to do. So I'm like, well, do I really need a dozen witches to show up if they're
No,
just
you
going to stand
don't.
around? Exactly. They're not doing anything. So they're probably all going to get cut, and it's going to probably just be one because I don't have anything for them
You're
to
going to
do.
make someone draw a dozen witches for no reason, and there's going to be nothing else visible because it's just going to be like a wall of witches in the background. They're just wallpaper.
Yeah, I have nothing for them to do, so I'm like, okay, so what am I doing? So
yes,
yeah. So as I said, like I kind of feel that it's like that's why it's like you have these characters show up, they need to do something, and they need to do something interesting. Otherwise, if they don't, then they don't need to be there.
yes.
So that same thing goes with your 20 macchiato dudes. Like they need to do something interesting. Just being cannon fodder is
Not
really.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And in a comic book, like Danny's point, you're limited on space and what you're going to fit in those panels. So don't waste panels time and art budget on stuff that doesn't do anything. Like you can have in a film 20 extras run out of the bar and be, electrocuted to death, and they all collapse on the ground, and you can cover that in a 30 to 60-second scene. Not interesting, but you can do that. You can't do that in a comic. That's like 2 pages to establish that, and it's going to be a waste of an art budget that I don't think you have. So just keep that in mind. Every panel is important and has to do something. And the same way when you go and you're choreographing, that's why I was saying if you're talking about your choreography, if you're doing it as a comic or a screenplay or a TV show, if you're choreographing as a comic, you're not going to be able to get away with what you're writing in your script when you go to tell your artist how to draw that scene. So
yeah,
you're going to have
like a 2-issue fight scene.
Yeah. So you're going to have to really,
or else they don't make any sense. Like John, I sent him some notes on some sketches earlier this week, and like a lot of my notes were this action scene doesn't make any sense because it's too small. Like if you're drawing an action scene, you need to show what's happening, which means you got to draw big, and that's a lot of page budget, and you've only got so many pages.
Yeah, and what I ended up doing was, for the most part, is just combining panels and just saying, okay, we're going to cut that panel, make that one bigger, or combine these two together, and
Well, I'm excited to see that. I guess that's a convo for offline, though.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I look forward to. I'm going to go back and read some more of my Angel of Darkness trade. Thank you so much, John. That was a very nice, thoughtful gift.
You're welcome.
And I just keep in mind that every time I see this kind of double cursive crazy script that I have a hard time reading, I'm like, that was a John Lamont artistic decision.
I promise it was the
absolutely
least
was.
legible font we had.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Did you say it was the least legible?
At least illegible.
No, it was like I mean, I shouldn't say it's the most legible, but it's the most legible of all the fonts that we went through to do that.
Well, that's one way to say it, but actually that's wrong. It's the least unreadable font that we had. They were all bad. All of the options were bad.
At least this one had consistent character widths. Remember that one that had like every other character was like 2 or 3 times wider? It was
that would be nuts. You did not have space for balloons for that.
Yeah, no, that was horrible. Like, no, but I like this one. Have you used it for anybody else's projects?
No. Why? I would maybe use it for a display font if I really wanted to. Like, it's got a lot of utility there. It's got some really interesting letter forms. I could see using it as like a formal font in a very weird sort of fantasy scenario in like a kind of African themed environment. For dialogue, like, it's real tough. And it definitely forced us to be like, it's so bold too. Like, it's really hard to combine it with the normal dialogue font. Like, that was a lot of trouble as well. Right? So, like, I prefer to mix much more similar fonts in dialogue because the overall reading experience doesn't like suddenly look like someone's yelling at you. So I don't think I would ever use it for dialogue aside from for this project, or I guess Harpies possibly.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll have a fight over that later.
Yeah, we may just save it for the spells or something along those lines.
That's a good font for the spells because the spells are already illegible, so make the
it's AI translated from one language to another. Like, it doesn't, and what they're saying doesn't entirely matter half the time anyway.
So, you know, that's actually a good use of that font. So we will find a use for it. I think we just did. Or, like, you know, we use a display font in some African village or whatever. Totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a variant cover.
I mean, because otherwise, if we use it for dialogue, then we have to come up with one for when they're speaking German, because there's about as much German.
I mean, I know what to use if they're speaking German, but like, you're not going to like it.
What you got?
I haven't seen
Fractura.
It.
There you go.
It's what?
Fractura, or like a 14th century bookhand. Fractura is the pre-World War II German typewriter font that looks like a medieval manuscript. Like, it looks like black letter.
Okay.
So I could find an okay bookhand font to use, or I can just use Fractura. But because it's literally the Nazis, so I don't mind doing that. But it's not a great dialogue font. Like, it's okay, but it's like it's fat because it's trying to mimic like an actual pen stroke with a lot of ink.
That might be a little too. But as I said, we could talk about it. Otherwise, we don't.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with like pointy brackets and like that's it. Or you just rewrite it in English with like, you know, little dialogue witticisms like Z Germans with a Z, or you call it a Z, but whatever. That last letter of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Right, and you just do it like as an accent. That's the other way to do it.
Yeah, like when you're watching Hogan's Heroes and he says, "How's your German accent?" when he actually means, "How is your German?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're speaking with a German accent because that's actually supposed to be them speaking in German.
Yes, so we do it like that. That's a common thing. You just sort of.
I know in some comics they do like the little brackets around the corners or whatever. Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan of that. I kind of like the idea of doing a different font, But whatever we do, I want to be consistent. So if when they're speaking Shona, we're using a different font, then for German, I'll use a different font. But if when they're speaking German, we're going to use a different way to designate it and use the same font, then we can do that for the other one. I just want to be consistent.
Yeah, well, we'll develop a new
both foreign languages
project, because I suspect now that you have a new inker, your art quality is going to improve, and now that you have like any oversight on the sketches, you're going to have room for everything. So like I think there's room to do fun stylistic things and like have the headroom to be cute. There's a few other ways to do translations too. Like we can stick flags in the balloons.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah, like it actually works. Like it's a design nightmare, but I'm happy. Like I only have to do it once, really. You've got a lot of languages at the same time. It solves a bunch of problems. So yeah, we'll see, and like I've got some examples to show you, and we'll discuss it and do the whole thing.
Yeah,
and some of that's going to depend on the art too, right? Like if the art doesn't work with like slightly gimmicky balloons with flags, and we're not going to do it.
Sure. Yeah, I would be curious how that would work. I'd also have to figure out because my Africans are kind of generic Africans. They're not really, so I don't really know how that would work.
Pick a country is what you do.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, you don't make them generic Africans.
And then I have to go and figure out what flag they had 100 years ago before decolonization.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
Because then it's
going to be
that's
on Wikipedia though.
Yeah. I mean, then we're probably looking at some variation of the British flag, because it probably has the Union Jack in it somewhere.
I mean, most of the world has some variation on the British flag.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's because most of the world was colonized by the British.
Well, also because you can just quarter it with the Union Jack and get on with your life. Like that's a lot easier than some of the other solutions that have been used.
Yeah.
I'll send you an example of the flag one after the stream, because that one I saved that one because it's so cute. I'm like, I just want to maybe do this one day. But you'll also see the art style is going to be very different from yours, so I'm not sure how well it'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's let Preston go to sleep. He's getting
all right. Well, hey, we had a good discussion.
We did. People hopefully learned something about comics production.
Hopefully.
Assuming that they sat through the last stream.
We'll see.
We're interesting people, of course.
We are. We do. And look,
they're here for us, tearing down the scripts or whatever, not for the actual scripts necessarily.
Yes. Anyway. All right, cool. Hopefully we'll inspire some people. See what happens next week.
Yeah, boy.
Yay.
Do it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.